Here we're testing all of Huberman's cortisol protocols and rank them by effectiveness, ease of use and how much time they actually take. If you clicked on this video, there is a good chance you've been feeling stressed. So the protocols we're reviewing today might genuinely help. In the previous video we reviewed the morning protocols designed to raise cortisol. And just as a quick reminder, we want cortisol to be high in the morning and low in the evening. So this second part is all about lowering cortisol later in the day. We already elaborately discussed lowering your cortisol by optimizing your evening exercise and ready to move to the next evening protocol, dim light and avoid blue light at night. Now let's be clear, evening light doesn't substantially increase cortisol directly. What it does, it suppresses melatonin, delay the circadian clock and shift the cortisol rhythm the next day. So the recommendations below make perfect sense, just not because of an immediate cortisol response. First, start dimming indoor lights about 2 hours before bed. Use warm, amber or ideally red light. Third, avoid bright overhead ceiling lights and reduce screen exposure or at least use night shift mode. Both intensity and spectrum matter. In the morning, about 10,000 lux of light is ideal, while in the evening we should avoid light above 3-5 lux, about 2000 times dimmer. And we learned how to measure brightness in lux using your phone in the previous video. These days you can buy a simple RGB bulb, screw it into any lamp and set it to orange or red in the evening. You can even automate lights to shift warmer 2 hours before bedtime. The position of light source also matter. Light coming from below eye level generally suppresses melatonin less, so it's better to use table or floor lamp in the evening. For me, the biggest issue was nighttime bathroom trips. I go to the toilet mostly once per night, and after blasting my eyes with a bright bathroom light, it was difficult to fall back asleep. So I bought a tiny, dim motion sensor light for $2. I couldn't find a red one, so I literally put a red film inside and placed it near the toilet. Now I have just enough light to navigate without blasting my eyes with brightness and suppressing melatonin. And it made a huge difference. Now I fall back asleep almost instantly and I can see it in my sleep tracker. If you need, you can also place additional small dim lights along the path to the bathroom. I also bought an RGB tube with a little tripod for $20, so I can put it wherever I need light. I do my evening yoga under that light. It's enough for me even at 3-5% brightness. And I have a small bed light with a remote for $6. And if I travel, I can grab that small RGB panel. So it's definitely worth investing in inexpensive lighting equipment. But please, don't be obsessed with it too much. Don't turn it into anxiety. Your mental state is even more important than light. So don't be mad if your girlfriend or boyfriend switches on a bright ceiling light for a moment. Light matters, but your mental state matters even more. So effectiveness, let's say 9 out of 10, zero maintenance time, you only need to buy a lamp once, effort almost zero, price from 10 to 100 one-off cost. The sponsor of this video is me. So the completely free way to support the channel is to hit like, subscribe and share this video with a friend. And drop a comment below. And the best comments are questions from people who tried some protocols. Next is dim screen. The goal is to reduce both brightness and blue heavy spectrum. At least put your phone, tablet and laptop into night shift or warm mode and the lowest comfortable brightness. Most phones will auto-dim if your environment is dim, which is exactly what we need. Huberman sometimes suggests switching the phone to a full red color scheme. Personally, I can't do that, it's just stressed me out. One thing that did help me though was making my phone grayscale. It reduces my compulsive social media checking, but that's a different topic. So dim the screen, warm the colors and avoid it close to bedtime. Effectiveness, let's say 8 out of 10, cost 0 times 0, limbic friction basically 0. One more no-brainer habit. And here is a surprisingly powerful cognitive behavioral therapy style trick. No phone in bed at all. If you really need to watch something cozy to wind down, cute animals, or I don't know, quantum physics 101, do it sitting in a chair or sofa, not under the blanket. You want to train your brain in a very Pavlovian way. Bed equals sleep. If you're awake, you're not in bed. It's basically like training a dog. The simpler the rule, the faster your brain learns. So effectiveness. 10 out of 10, cost 0 times 0, limbic friction, well, it could be 10 for some, but give it a try. After a week, you'll love that rule. That simple protocol truly changed my life. That's why it goes to tier A+, maybe A++. You have to try it. Simply plug your phone charger as far from your bed as possible, ideally outside the bedroom, and enjoy better sleep and more energy in the morning. Oh yes, red glasses. Well, I personally don't treat it seriously, there is no convincing data. However, I can imagine a scenario where they can be really helpful. For example, a late party where you want everyone to know that you're a biohacker now. So if you like wearing red glasses, especially if you already have a pair, go for it. If you believe it works and you like it, placebo will do the work. So red glasses effectiveness, let's say 2 out of 10, price from 70 to 200 bucks. Limbic friction, I have no idea. Sunset gazing. Yes, my dudes, it's officially neuroscience and biohacking. The idea is that evening outdoor light gives your brain a very clear day-to-night transition signal. Sunset light is lower in blue wavelengths and it helps your circadian system understand, okay, daytime is ending, night is coming. So later in the evening your brain is more ready to produce melatonin. Plus psychologically it's just so calming. So effectiveness. If we include the mental health aspect, it's basically 100. But realistically, let's call it 10 out of 10 with one downside. It's not accessible everywhere, every season or with every schedule. Next protocol is no late caffeine. Huberman suggests cutting off caffeine somewhere around 2 or 3 p.m. And the reason is simple. Caffeine lasts a long time. I did personal research. It's a matter for a dedicated episode because it will take half an hour to go through. And the data clearly shows that for most people, assuming genetic variations, the safe cutoff time is around 10 hours before sleep. Don't be mad at me, try it as an experiment for 10 days and thank me later for better sleep. And please, don't forget about caffeinated drinks. A friend of mine recently proudly said how he cut off his coffee around 11 am, holding an open can of soda with 34 milligrams of caffeine. So in terms of impact, I'd rate this somewhere between 5 and 10 out of 10. For a lot of people, caffeine after lunchtime is one of the biggest hidden drivers of poor sleep. And if you simply give your body enough time to clear caffeine before bed, sleep quality can improve dramatically. Cause 0 times 0 limbic friction, potentially high for coffee lovers, but you'll adapt faster than you think. Next protocol is stress reduction breathing. Huberman's go-to tool here is the Physiological Sigh. Here is how it works. One deep inhale through the nose, then a second short inhale to fully inflate the lungs, and then a long, slow exhale through the mouth. It's simple and it works surprisingly well. Why does it work? There is a phenomenon called respiratory sinus arrhythmia. Your heart rate naturally changes with your breathing. On the inhale, heart rate rises slightly, more sympathetic activation. On the exhale, heart rate drops, more parasympathetic, vagal activation. So when you make the exhale longer, you spend more time in that parasympathetic break state. That tends to lower heart rate, increase HRV, improve baroreflex sensitivity, and downshift the whole stress response, meaning less adrenaline and lower cortisol over time. Let's try it and monitor changes in real time. My Whoop and Garmin cannot provide HRV in real time, but we can monitor heart rate. As you can see, heart rate dropped significantly. However, after about 4 minutes, it started rising again because I simply got tired from that double deep exhalation. The physiological sigh is amazing as an emergency tool. It works fast but not very deep, mostly because it's limited by time. It's simply uncomfortable to do for more than a couple of minutes. And it's a little awkward to do it repeatedly in the middle of a meeting, for example. The more practical everyday version is simply extend your exhale. Most studies use roughly a 1:2 ratio. For example, inhale 5 seconds, exhale 10 seconds. But you can use any length and any ratio following two simple rules. First, it should be comfortable, and second, exhale longer than inhale. Let's try it out. It's much more comfortable to sustain for a long time. Heart rate drops lower and more steadily, and sinus arrhythmia is very stable and rhythmic. I can feel a noticeable calming effect in just a couple minutes. For a deeper shift, I do it for 10 minutes. I use long exhale breathing almost daily, at night to fall asleep faster lying in bed, timing it using my heartbeat. But you can do it anywhere, anytime. During a meeting, while walking, watching Netflix, anytime you want to calm down. So, physiological sigh, effectiveness 8 out of 10, time 1 to 2 minutes, limbic friction basically 0. Long exhale breathing, effectiveness 10 out of 10, time from 2 to 10 minutes, limbic friction 0, it's very easy to do. The next protocol is starchy carbs in the evening meal. Huberman suggests having some starchy carbohydrates at dinner around 7 or 8 p.m. because stable blood glucose at night can help prevent stress hormone release. The basic idea is simple. If blood sugar drops too low overnight, the body may respond by releasing counter-regulatory hormones, including cortisol and adrenaline, to bring glucose back up. And for some people that can mean waking up at 3 or 4 a.m. or lighter sleep. Carbohydrates can also support a more parasympathetic rest and digest state and may indirectly promote serotonin and melatonin pathways, all of which can increase sleep drive. But huge caveat, this is not a free pass to eat half a pizza and wash it down with soda. If you eat a massive high-carb meal too close to bedtime, elevated glucose and digestion can also disrupt your sleep. Moreover, excessively elevated glucose blunts growth hormone release. So the goal is a small controlled amount, not a carb bomb. Personally, I've adapted to eating dinner around 4 to 5 hours before sleep, and my sleep is great. My evening meal is usually something light and high protein like cottage cheese, kefir, plant yogurt, plus some berries or fruit. If I am genuinely hungry before bed, I eat something small 2 hours before sleep. A protein shake, maybe a couple dates or half a banana, half of sweet potato, not a giant plate of starch. So honestly, there is no one-size-fits-all protocol here. Some people wake up because glucose drops, others sleep worse because they go to bed with a full stomach and glucose still elevated. Both can happen. So effectiveness, I would say from 0 to 7. Time and cost, I'd say 0 additional cost and time, you should be having your dinner anyway, limbic friction 0. Before we jump to the cortisol reducing supplements, I also want to mention something really important. There are two common patterns of chronic stress that people tend to fall into. Pattern 1 is what most people think of as wired but tired. You wake up around 4 or 5 am and you just can't fall back asleep. In the morning you feel restless or anxious. Then, in the afternoon, your energy completely crashes. You drag yourself throughout the day, and then, weirdly, in the evening you feel activated again. Agitated, wired, and falling asleep becomes difficult. In this pattern, cortisol output and stress reactivity tend to be higher than normal, especially early in the day. It's like your system is stuck in overdrive. On the graph, this is the normal curve. And this is what I'd call the high reactivity stress curve. It rises too early, drops too hard, and then rebounds again at night. Pattern 2 looks different. Here you wake up feeling flat and drained. It's hard to get going, almost like your morning kickstart is missing. But then again, nighttime still isn't great. Even when you're exhausted, your body doesn't fully shut down and sleep feels shallow or fragmented. In this case, the morning cortisol rise can be blunted, while evening and nighttime levels may stay too elevated. And often, the first type appears early in prolonged stress, and the second may develop later if the system stays overactivated for too long, sometimes leading to burnout or depression. Okay, now we're ready to discuss supplements, and I totally agree with Huberman that supplements are not the foundation here. They're optional and behavioral protocols count first. Supplements are the last 10%. Let's start with Ashwagandha, literally a buzzword in wellness and biohacking circles. Now attention please, don't use it until you're absolutely sure that it's suitable for your specific case. Ideally test your cortisol first. Some studies show it can reduce perceived stress and modestly lower cortisol over time. The problem is that it isn't time sensitive, so it lowers the whole cortisol curve. And as we already learned, the second type of chronic stress has a flattened curve, low morning spike and lower than normal total cortisol output. Imagine that we lower morning cortisol even more. You might feel drained even before you start your day, and getting out of bed might be torture. But if it's the first type with elevated cortisol, it can work, but again, ideally after you measure your rhythm. I think I should film a very short video on how to measure it correctly, so it'll be the next episode. If you want something that may target evening cortisol more directly, try Phosphatidylserine. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, that one. It's a building block of cell membranes, particularly in the brain. Multiple small double-blind studies have reported improvements in cognitive abilities and memory, and even reduces symptoms of ADHD. There is some compelling data that it really lowers cortisol, however, it's not FDA approved for lowering cortisol, but appears to be absolutely safe. I'm experimenting with it right now, taking 300 mg 2 hours before sleep, and subjectively it works. Assuming its brain supportive effect and safety, it's worth trying. Next is my favorite. Apigenin, one of the active compounds in Chamomile Tea. It works very gently by increasing sleepiness. I usually drink a cup of chamomile tea in the evening about 2 hours before bed. For me, it creates a subtle sensation of relaxation without feeling like a sedative. If you don't like chamomile tea, Apigenin is also available in capsule form, but the tea is the classic. Next up, magnesium, another wellness buzzword, but this one is actually fundamental. Magnesium isn't sleep-specific supplement. It's an essential mineral involved in hundreds of reactions in the body, including muscle function, nervous system regulation, and energy metabolism. The issue is that many people don't get enough magnesium from modern diets, so supplementation makes sense. There are a lot of different forms, but only two worth your attention. The first form is magnesium glycinate or bisglycinate. This one is well absorbed, usually gentle on the stomach, and unlike, for example, citrate, doesn't have a laxative effect. And there are randomized controlled trials showing that magnesium bisglycinate, quote, modestly improved insomnia severity in adults with sleep compliance. The second form is magnesium L-Theanine. Although the common statement that it's the only form that can cross the blood-brain barrier is overstated, it's pure marketing. However, magnesium threonate has animal data suggesting it may increase brain magnesium levels more effectively than other forms. So we can try one form or the other, I take both. A common recommended range is from 200 to 400 mg of elemental magnesium per day, taken in the evening with dinner or 1 to 2 hours before bed. Reliable brands will list the amount of elemental magnesium per serving, which is what actually matters, and it's different from the total pill weight. The next supplement is L-Theanine, a natural compound found in green tea. Several randomized placebo-controlled studies show that L-Theanine reduces sleep latency, time it takes to fall asleep, improves overall sleep quality and reduces waking after sleep onset. And recommended dose is from 1 to 200 milligrams taken 30 to 60 minutes before bed. I take 100 daily. All supplements here have strong human evidence showing sleep improvement. Except magnesium L-Theanine, only mice data so far. The next protocol is non-sleep deep rest or yoga nidra. That technique works perfectly in two scenarios. If you have type 1 of chronic stress, when you wake up before the alarm and feel stressed, you can use it to fall back asleep. Or you can use it before sleep if you have problems falling asleep. Yoga nidra is a form of guided meditation where you should scan sensations in your body from head to toe, and recorded voices, generally accompanied by relaxing music or sound of nature, tell you exactly what to do.
Now let this relaxation of the nerves and muscles in your head, let this relaxation sink inward. Let it sink
Several randomized controlled trials and pre-post studies show that regular yoga nidra practice is associated with significant reduction in saliva or serum cortisol. I started using yoga nidra maybe 20 years ago. It was the only way to fall asleep before university exams. I used to listen to Hemi Sync relaxation program, which also uses binaural rhythms.
Now, as you listen to the special relaxing sounds of ocean surf, move your body into the most comfortable
It's
position.
very
for
long,
you.
maybe 40 minutes,
On your back,
and I usually
on your
fall
side,
asleep after the
whatever's
first
best
15
for you.
minutes. You can easily Google numerous free guided meditations in any language at any length, because really 15 minutes is enough.
It can restore mental and physical vigor, and it can be done any time of day or night. It can even partially offset the negative consequences.
Now I do Vipassana meditation. It's the next level, but it requires months of practice and at least one 10-day retreat. So it's not a quick solution. Yoga Nidra, on the other hand, works straight out of the box, just plug and play. And it can be done anytime, anywhere. Ideally, you should lay down, but a comfy chair or sofa will also suit. So effectiveness, 10 out of 10, time 10 to 15 minutes, cost mostly free, limbic friction 0, it's very easy to do. So one more no-brainer, easy to use, human randomized control trial evidences, 0 entry skill and time friendly. Here's your simple 1-week challenge. For just 1 week, wake up at the same time every day. Put your phone far enough away that you have to stand up and walk to turn off the alarm. And as soon as you're on your feet, open a window or step outside and get 5 minutes of bright light in your eyes. Sun if you have it, bright sky if you don't. And if your region doesn't get morning sunlight, buy a 10,000 lux lamp. You'll feel the difference. More alertness in the morning, more energy during the day, and more natural sleep pressure later that night. I'm already preparing an episode on ketogenic diet and glucose tracking. I've got plenty of lab toys for that and one big lab rat, but it will take some time. Before that, I'll probably release 1 or 2 shorter episodes, so stay tuned and stay healthy.